Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and we got another great episode for you today. Today, we're actually hearing from Jake Walsh out of South Carolina. Jake is a newer hunter, been doing it for about 5 years, but he's completely fallen in love with everything hunting. So much so that he's kind of made it his career in his life, and he started a couple different outdoor brands to try and live his dream, which is super cool. And he reached out to me and said, hey, I've got a great story I want to tell, and this is one that we have not heard on the podcast for sure. There's been nothing quite like this. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Now, let's let Jake tell you some of his stories. Thank you. All right. Well, then we'll just kick this thing off, just a real short pause, and we'll go, welcome to the podcast. Okay, quick pause. All right, Jake, welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast, brother. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you and talk your ear off.
Yeah, man, I've been following you for a while. You do some pretty cool things, and to be honest, your message to me, I don't know, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, was out of the blue, and I could tell there was some excitement about it. I'm excited to have you on the podcast, man. But let's do this. Why don't you introduce yourself and what you do, background in hunting, whatever you think is good information, and we'll start there. Sound good?
Yeah, well, for starters, you're one of my go-to podcasts from when I'm painting. So, painting is a long, drawn-out process. So I throw you on, and so you're one of my go-tos. So this is great for me. I'm not going to listen to this episode though, because I can't listen to myself talk. So
yeah, I don't listen to any of mine. I can't handle it. But I understand where you're coming from. As long as this is completely off subject. I mean, I'm interrupting your introduction, but as long as I have you tried any of my new Friday Hunters Briefs episodes yet? Any feedback there? Yeah, they're like the 5-10 minute ones.
No, I don't click on those because when I'm painting, I need something that's an hour at least.
Totally fine, man. All right, I just figured I'd ask. All right, To the listeners, if you guys are listening to those, give me feedback. Tell me to turn them off, get rid of them altogether, or whatever. Now, Jake, back to you, man. All right, introduce yourself.
So I'm Jake. The alias online is Stealthy Climber, though, and so I'm just a humble public land hunter here in South Carolina. I saddle hunt primarily, bow and rifle. I just hunt with the seasons. Mm-hmm. Whitetail pretty much only. It's all I really got time for, and all I can really get out there and go for. Yeah, I love whitetail hunting so much. I had a non-traditional introduction to hunting. So where I grew up, where I went to high school, the hunters that I knew put a bad taste in my mouth for hunting. You know what? Okay. Everybody in high school was drink beer, shoot deer. Like that was it. And when I was hearing that in high school, I was like, I will never, ever do that. That just sounds terrible. And so
like everybody kind of, if you didn't start hunting, everybody knew those guys that kind of put a bad taste in your mouth. So I didn't start hunting, and I definitely knew some guys that I was like, that's not my culture. That's not for me. But I didn't know the big picture of it. And yeah, there's a lot of different paths you can take as a hunter. So
exactly, yeah. And that's so I was completely turned off by it for a long time, all of high school, all of college, and then as I entered my adult life, what really brought me to hunting was food quality. Okay, and so me and my wife, started looking into what we were eating, what we were putting into our bodies. We got repulsed by factory farming. And so I was like, if we're going to eat meat, we got to eat clean meat. Like we got to support local farmers, or we need to go get it ourselves. And so that's actually how I got into hunting. I wanting clean meat. And so I taught myself how to hunt, went out in the woods. I remember when I got my first deer, it was a doe, and I was trembling. I was super emotional. I prayed over the animal. It was life-changing for me. And at that moment right there, I knew this is the only way. Yeah. And this is how we'll get meat with our family for the rest of my life.
That's cool, man. So, that's super cool. Yeah, I tell people all the time, I'm like, hunters have a lot more in common with vegans than people think, because it is that don't like factory farming, want good quality food. Like, there's a lot of similarities there. And if you actually get a decent vegan who's willing to listen to what you have to say, they'll be like, no, I get it. Yeah, it makes sense. But man, so so it's interesting that you did that. Like, a lot of people don't jump into it without having any kind of mentor whatsoever and just jump into it. How did you sharpen that learning curve? Like, what did you do? Just jump out and get in there? Were you YouTube? Like, how did you prepare yourself for that first doe hunt?
Oh, shout out to Steven Rinella, Meat Eater. I watched so many of those videos. I watched Steven Rinella's How to Butcher a Deer or How to Field Dress a Deer. I probably watched that video 60 times before I went hunting, just because I was like, if I'm going to go do this, I need to do it right.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of YouTube, I'd say, and then I started listening to hunting podcasts, and then actually one of the biggest videos for me was when Cameron Haynes took Joe Rogan on his first hunt.
Okay.
And
with his other comedian buddy. I can't remember his name right now, but yeah, I know the video you're talking about.
Yeah, so I watched that video, and just a lot of videos, and so coincidentally, me and my best friend, we both got into hunting at the same time, but for different reasons, and didn't mention it to each other until we were both like, "Hey, I'm going to go hunting," and my friend was like, "Wait, I'm about to go hunting too. You like hunting?" Well, I was like, "No, this will be my first time," and it was his first time, so. We kind of we didn't even mention it to each other, but we both got into hunting at the exact same time.
That's crazy.
So we started learning together, which was great.
That's super cool, man. It's nice to have a buddy to make a lot of errors with. That way you each make different errors and hopefully sharpen the learning curve. Yeah, funny thing about that Steven Rinella video. So when I was learning, same path as you, YouTube, podcast, just absorbing what I could. Colorado Parks and Wildlife had a really good program to learn to hunt. So you go to these little meetings. In the meeting where it was processing deer, they had a stuffed animal deer, which was ridiculous. But then they just put on that Steven Rinella video, and so that's the first time I saw that was actually at a CPW sanctioned event, and they're like, here's how you do it. This is the best instruction you will get. So it's cool that you found that without having to have a state department send it your way. But that's cool. Okay, so then you said it was your girlfriend or your wife were interested in the health factor? Wife, okay. And what did she think? Was she interested in hunting as well, or did she just say, "Go get me food, honey"?
She was very at first. She was totally on board. She totally understood.
Yeah.
But when I told her that I was going to go harvest my own animal and butcher my own animal and process my own meat, she started to get a little hesitant, but she's now
where are you doing this?
She sacrificed on the kitchen counter. I came home and plopped a deer on the kitchen counter, and I thought her heart was going to fall out of her chest. But now she's the most supportive woman on the planet, and so now she actually helps out. I remember after I've been hunting for a while, I was like, you know what? I think it's time that you see where your meat's coming from too. It's one thing for me to go harvest it, process it, and then you get to enjoy it. Yeah. So I tapped her in for to help me process a deer in our kitchen. And at first you could tell she was barely pinching it with her fingers and the knife was barely moving. But after 30 minutes, she was deep in there with me, processing the meat. And about an hour into processing it, she goes, "I am salivating." She was like, "This is making me so hungry." And I was like, that's what happened to me too. So
that's awesome, man.
She's one of the rare women where she's like, "Can you please go, get another nice big buck to where we could have some more taxidermy on the wall?" So
I wish. That's amazing, man. I have a funny story. I plopped a deer down on my counter, and it wasn't my wife, but our childcare provider turned the corner and was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And the meat, it was actually axis deer. And she's like, "Are you just cutting up a bunch of tuna?" Because it was that dark, beautiful red. And I'm like, "No, this is deer." And she's like, "No way, that looks spectacular." So it's cool to have someone outside of it just see the raw meat and be like, "Wow, that looks cool." How long ago did you start this adventure, man? How long ago did you start hunting?
It's been, gosh, how long? It's been many years.
You can ballpark it. 10, 15?
No, I'd say 5.
5? No way. Okay. That's 5. Crazy. Okay, well, so then I have another question for you. Eventually we'll get to the stories, everyone, I promise. But you have I don't know exactly your involvement, but you have 2 outdoor brand companies. How did you go from not hunting 5 years ago to basically having 2 product lines from 2 different organizations? What tell me kind of the origin story of those, because I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so I'll preface this with I truly believe that in the blood memory stuff and your ancestors living on through you. All of my ancestors on my biological father's side were frontiermen. They got dropped off in the wilderness when this land was first being discovered, and they were given a musket and said, go figure out if we can live here.
So the hat is a family heirloom then? I'm just kidding.
No, fortunately not. I just recently like reconnected and met my biological father and started hearing these things. So unfortunately, no family heirlooms. But
did he hunt or anything like that?
So they are big hunters.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and so he has 2 other sons that I've never met who just don't like hunting, hate it, and that broke his heart. And so when I remember the conversation I had with him, one of the first conversations, it was very recently. He was like, he said something like, "Oh man, if only you could like chase your dreams." And I was like, "Well, if I could figure out how to turn hunting into a career, dream come true."
Yeah.
And the got silent, and he went, "You hunt?"
Yeah.
And it was like the world got opened up for him. He was like, "My bloodline is on."
That's amazing, man. That's cool that was there. That reminds me of this is a funny story. I don't know if you listened to the Ted Nugent episode, but he had a kid that he gave up for adoption. And then like 20 years later, he's like, of course, Ted Nugent, like as right wing as it gets. This guy's a liberal chef in like New York City. And they meet and they realize this. And then he's like, well, you're into food. Let me go get you some deer. And now this guy's an avid hunter. So it's like crazy how it kind of does run in the blood.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I'm very fresh into it. I'm never going to say that I'm an expert by any means, but I love it. It's my entire life. It truly is. My friends laugh at me because they're like, something so new. 5 years is very new in a life. Yeah. Something so new, it's what your entire life revolves around. I mean, everything I do revolves around hunting of some sort. And so I had that passion. And I just dove all in. I mean, I made it my life. I loved it so much. And so when you make something your passion and you love it so much and you're doing it every single day, you start to, think of things that could make it a little bit easier or better and stuff. So that's how the brands were born. I mean, Mini Mounts came from my father-in-law and I having a great hunting trip together, both getting 2 great bucks. And, mounts can only be in one place. Yeah, I desperately wanted his mount because it reminded me of the hunting trip we took, and he wanted mine. And so I thought of the idea of the Mini Mounts, and so that's how that was born. And then for Raccoon Rigs, I'm a public land hunter. I'm hiking deep into the woods, climbing trees, finding spots, and I hate sticks and I hate climbers. Yeah, I was thinking there's got to be a better way to do this, and there really wasn't. And so after a lot of brainstorming and trial and error, I came up with Raccoon Rigs and the Bandit Climber. And now it's all I use, and people who use it, it was wildly successful. And now everyone who uses it are like, this is the only thing I'll ever use to climb trees. So
that's cool, man. That's super cool.
They're both passion projects born out of me diving 100% into my passion of hunting.
Yeah. That's awesome. And we will talk a little bit more about your companies at the end. I think we've gone pretty far here without actually diving into any stories. Although you've given us some little tidbits, which is great. I'm going to say one thing, and then let's kick into stories. And the one thing I wanted to toss out to you, I know that you just met your father, but if you want to capture some of his stories, I've offered this before. No one has taken me up on it yet. Either we can bring him on the podcast and you can interview him and hear his hunting stories from his life, or I can do it for you. Or I could be a fly on the wall. We can do it however you want. And this goes out to all the listeners as well. If you got an old timer and you want to capture their stories, like I'd love to be a part of that. I think it's easy to get in touch with younger hunters that have social media and things like that. But the older generation, they're not into podcasts. They're not into social media. So I need help connecting with that generation. Everyone listening, let's get some old timers on this podcast. Let's hear some stories that probably aren't true, but have been passed down for generation. That's what I want. So, okay, but think about that, Jake. Offers there. We'll talk about it offline. But man, let's set the stage for your first story, man.
All right, so I've got to give a lot of background to the story to make it make sense as to why it's such a meaningful memory in my life. So, my wife and I went to Alabama to go do some work on some of her family land. It was, we're cutting trees, we're pulling weeds, just stuff like that. But we're in the middle of nowhere, Alabama. And I was doing some work. My wife wanted to, take my dog out and around. And I said, hey, please be careful. There's some rat poison in the barn.
Okay.
Eye on him. Do not let him out of your sight. So, okay, I won't. So I'm doing some work. They leave. Not 15 minutes later, they come sprinting back inside, screaming, "Rut ate rat poison." So,
Damn it.
so
I was hoping that would
Yep.
come up way later in the story, not immediately, but okay. I knew it was going to happen.
So-
Otherwise, you wouldn't have mentioned it.
yeah. So everything, drop everything. We're in the middle of nowhere. The closest store to get anything is an hour away. And so thank goodness my father-in-law is a vet. And so he kept a level head. Everyone was crying, sobbing. I looked at him and I said, "David, is my dog going to die?" And he kept a level head and he said, "If we can get some hydrogen peroxide, he will not die." Well, like I said, hydrogen peroxide's an hour away. And so my mother-in-law hops in the car. She was probably going 130, 140 down the back roads to get to the store. She makes it in time. All we have is a turkey baster to get hydrogen peroxide down my dog's throat. Which,
Damn.
if you could visualize that, might be the funniest thing you've ever seen in your life. So we fill up this turkey baster with hydrogen peroxide. My dog, he's just clugging it, poor thing, down his throat. We get him to vomit up some of the poison, but obviously not enough. So we're in Alabama. I live in South Carolina, and my in-laws live in Florida. And so my wife decides that her and my dog are going to go to Florida with my father-in-law to where he can treat him.
Okay.
So that means I'm driving to South Carolina alone. And I want to give another detail. Me and my wife are almost inseparable. We never hardly ever leave this house without each other. Our neighbors see us all the time together. I drive back from Alabama completely alone. I get home around, I want to probably say midnight, 1 a.m. And I'm making a bunch of rackets. You know how neighbors are. You make a bunch of noise. They're peeking through the blinds. They see me get out of the car alone without my wife late at night after seeing us leave just 2 days prior.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's 1 a.m. And I had been tracking my target buck for the season. I had been tracking him aggressively. Cameras, I put so many cameras out. The weather, I had him dialed. And so I knew that the next day was going to be the day that he was going to show up. If that was the only time, that was my window. And so I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, it's 1 a.m. I'm just going to not sleep and I'm going to go into the woods, get set up early, and I'm going to hunt.
Yeah.
So I messaged my best friend who I referred to earlier, and I said, "Hey, I named the buck Bandit." I know people are weird about naming bucks. I said, "Bandit is going to go down tomorrow. I promise you." I was like, "I'm going to go, whatever." And he went, "Well, I'm going to go hunt him in the morning then." And, me and my buddy, we share spots. He's my best friend. I will never say like, "Hey, don't go hunt this spot."
Yeah.
But when you've been tracking a buck, it's like a dagger to the heart when your buddy's like, "Well, I'm going to go in the morning and he's going to beat me there. He lives a lot closer."
Yeah.
So I sat there and pouted all morning. I mean, I was just sitting on my couch pouting. He texted me. He goes, "Hey, I went to the spot. I bumped 2 does. They blew at me. Another one came and saw me, blew off. I saw nothing." So I'm sitting there going, not only did he go, he totally blew that spot out. That deer is nowhere near that spot anymore. So I'm sitting there pouting. I think 2 p.m. rolls around. It's an hour drive to this spot that I got him at. So I'm pouting. And, I'm like, you know what? I'm sitting here doing nothing. My wife's out of town. I got nothing to do. I'm not going to kill anything from the couch. So I'm like, whatever. I'm out of spite. I'm like, let me just go and try to hunt him anyways.
Yeah.
So I pack up my stuff. I head to the woods. And I get there late because I'm angry. I'm like, nothing's going to happen. I get up in the tree. I probably get in the tree I'm probably set up at 5 p.m., which is late.
Got it. Hey, hunters. Have you ever had one of those stories, the ones that you didn't want to tell, the ones that end in failure? Yeah, I've been there. Actually, you know what? The culprit for me usually is bad optics, or worse, lack of using my optics at all. Picture this. I spot a trophy buck, or an antelope, or an elk, whatever it may be. My heart is racing, but the blurry view or I just can't quite identify exactly what I'm looking at. It has me second guessing. Well, that's where Vortex Optics comes in. With crystal clear glass and rugged durability, Vortex gives you the confidence to take the shot. Don't let poor optics ruin your story. Make every moment count. Upgrade to Vortex and turn your hunting tales into triumphs. Visit vortexoptics.com today.
That big buck walks out straight to me at like 5:15. I mean, I'm not in the tree for 15 minutes. I mean, when I tell you I had him dialed, I had him dialed. Biggest buck I've ever seen in person in my life. Came right over the hill that I expected him to come over, into my wind. I mean, that should tell you how hard he was rutting. Into my wind, did not care.
Yeah.
I lined up, took the shot, dropped him. He did not move a muscle. Then he starts rolling down this. I mean, we're in South Carolina. There's some pretty good hills. He rolls down this hill. And so, I mean, you can imagine. I am through the roof. I'm sleep deprived. I'm texting my buddy, I got him. It didn't matter. I got him. You didn't blow him out. Well, now
let me ask you a quick question about your buddy. I know you said you put lots of cameras. You had him just really you knew his patterns. You knew everything about it. Did your buddy put in that same effort, or was that you? And then he was kind of coattailing, or was he doing the same and you both were working together? He put out equal number of cameras, or am I poking a wound here?
That deer in particular, all me.
Okay.
But I'm not going to take the limelight away from my buddy. I mean, we share all our cameras. He puts in work. We share everything.
Gotcha.
That was just it was my dream buck. I'd been following him for so long.
Yeah.
But that deer, all me. He just kind of swooped in there last second. That's why I was so angry. I would never tell him like, hey, don't go hunt him. That's my deer, because who would ever do that?
Yeah. Plus, I mean, if you get to lay eyes on him, it's great that somebody puts him down. If it's not going to be you, might as well be him.
If I'm going to shoot the deer, I'd rather it be my buddy. If it wasn't going to be me, I'd rather be my buddy and not someone else. Yeah. So, I was pouting, but I wasn't. You're
a gentleman. You're a gentleman. I don't know if I would do the same thing if I put in all that work. And you do feel like it's your deer. But good on you and your friendship, man.
Nah, I appreciate it. So, anyways, I mean, this deer is every bit of 200 plus, and that is huge for South Carolina. And I'm not exaggerating. I promise. He was a monster. And well, now I got to get him out. I'm out there alone. I got to drag him out. He's at the bottom of a hill. It's a pretty steep hill. I'm sleep deprived. It was ridiculous. So I start dragging him out, and I thought I was going to die. I mean, he was the heaviest thing I've ever lifted in my life. It felt like he was 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm dragging him out. I get him. It takes me hours to get him out. I get about halfway. My heart feels like it's about to beat out of my chest. I laid him up against a tree, and I laid up against him, and I looked at him, and I said, we're going to die out here together. because there's no way I'm getting you out of here.
Yeah.
Of course, I eventually did. It took me all night, and I processed him. Or I gutted him out in the woods, put the gut pile buried it under the dirt, all that stuff that you're supposed to do. Like
how far back were you? And what time did you get back to your truck?
I couldn't tell you the exact distance I was, but I'd say a half mile.
Okay,
but
good distance. Good distance dragging a deer.
Yes, straight up though.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what time I got back to my truck. But I got him. And so I put him in the back. I quarter him out, put him in my cooler. I stop at a gas station. I get ice, pour it over him. But during all that, I'm not being the most, making sure everything's nice and clean. There is blood everywhere.
Yeah.
My cooler covered in blood. I'm covered in blood. There's blood dripping out of the back of the car. Everything. And so I want you to remember the neighbors.
Yeah. I'm guessing where this is going. Okay.
Yeah. And so I get home late at night. I pop open the bag. I've got bloody knives. I've got a bloody axe. I've got I'm covered in blood. There's blood dripping out of the back of my car, and I've got to, I can't leave it like that in the neighborhood, so I've got to start cleaning all this up. One of my neighbors who I'd never spoken to before this, ever.
How long you lived there?
At that point, lived there for 2 years.
Okay.
He lives like diagonal from me over here. He comes out and he starts and it didn't click for me yet, but he starts interrogating me. Hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just cleaning up my car, and he keeps interrupting me. Oh, well, what's all that? I was like, oh, I'm sorry. This is, I got some blood because I went and it cut me off again. Keep asking me all these questions. Oh, where's your wife? And I was like, oh, she's in Florida. Oh, why is she in Florida? And it still hadn't registered for me yet. This guy thinks I murdered my wife.
Yeah.
And so eventually I'm like, it clicks for me. I'm very sleep deprived. It clicks for me. I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy thinks I murdered my wife. So I tell him, like, hey man, I went hunting. I hunt. This is a deer. Would you like to see the head? And he goes, oh, no, well, I have guns. And I was like,
I know karate. I know karate. You stay away from me.
I was like, that's not what I was trying to say, that I went hunting and I have guns. I'm just trying to show you that this is a deer. This is not my wife and dog who haven't been around. And so eventually I show him the antlers and stuff, and everything's blown over. But my wife didn't come back for many days after that. Drive from Florida to South Carolina is not an easy, you don't just up and do it.
Yeah.
So after that, got the Euro mount going, everything. When my wife got home, probably 4 days later, I paraded her around our neighborhood. We were walking. I made sure that everybody saw her. I made sure that we walked past everybody's Ring cameras. I made sure we walked past everybody's windows. My wife is alive.
Yeah.
And so that will forever be my favorite hunting memory, just because it's the highest of highs and the lowest of lows.
That's funny, man. It's funny that your neighbor was like, I'm going to go talk to this guy, rather than like, if he thought you killed someone, like, what's he going over there and what's he going to do?
Right? I tell you what, if someone pulls up across the street from me with blood dripping out of their car and they're covered in blood, the last thing I'm doing is walking over there.
Yeah. Being like, howdy, neighbor. Like, and not seeing, like, there's certain things you always see that guy with, and that's not the case right now. Like, not having your wife there. Yeah, I might have been like, hello, 911. Just check this out. See what's going on here.
There's got covered in blood outside. You might want to come check it out.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. And your dog's okay, right?
Yeah, he's totally fine. He's actually the namesake of Rutt's Mini Mounts. He's living life. Rat poison free.
What kind of dog?
He's a Pitski or a Staffsky. He's a Staffordshire Terrier mixed with a Husky.
Okay, cool, man, cool. Did you give your wife a little bit of shit for being like, "Hey, be careful," and then immediately letting him eat the poison?
Yeah, I gave her a little bit, after it was all blown over and he was fine, because I'd never seen that woman cry so hard in my life.
Oh no!
When he ate that rat poison, she was on the ground sobbing. So that dog is her baby.
Yeah. God, that's funny, man. That's a great story. About halfway through, I was like, "Oh no, I know what's gonna happen." Oh no! And then I was just like curious, like how far does this go? Like, do you get arrested or something? So, but I'm glad it worked out where it did. Did you actually? You said over 200-inch deer. Have you ever gotten that guy formally measured? Is he the one right above you by chance?
No, I said over 200 pounds.
200 pounds. I thought you said 200 inches. Okay.
No, yeah, 200 inches would be crazy. He's a very big 8-point, especially for South Carolina. He's in the garage. I would show you. Okay. But no, he was a heifer. He was a chunky guy. Not the biggest rack in the world, but big enough for me to be, shaking over him whenever he came on my camera. Dude,
every region has its hogs that you just are so excited about. And that might be a 100-inch deer, that might be a 180-inch deer, but it doesn't matter. It's good for you. That's all you need, right?
Oh yeah.
Was that the first buck you had ever killed, or had you killed some before then?
No, him right here, right above me, is my first buck I ever killed.
That's a good buck, man.
Yeah, his name is Big 8, and that was actually the hunt that I referred to earlier, where both my father-in-law and I had a good hunt. That was my buck that I got, and my father-in-law got a monster buck. Puts makes this guy looks like a yearling spike. I mean, it's crazy.
How's he compare to Bandit?
He's smaller than Bandit.
No, I mean your father's.
He's way bigger.
Excuse me. Way bigger than Bandit. Wow. Okay.
Well,
Very cool. All right, man. Well, we didn't take up all our time. We got time left. What other stories do you want to tell? Do you want to tell that story with you and your father-in-law, or do you got something else that maybe rings a bell?
Yeah, I mean, that one's a quick one. So that one took place in Alabama. Okay. It was a rough hunting season. Unfortunately, that area in Alabama where we hunt is kind of getting overrun with hogs. Can't kill them fast enough.
Yeah.
And so that's really hurting the deer population. So hunting there is getting pretty hard. But we had a really good season. I was sitting up on this nice edge. And I think 2 or 3 days prior, I had saw the buck that my father-in-law ended up killing in that spot. So I was actually there hunting that deer. But this guy came out and gave me no time at all. He came out full sneak, going nose on the ground, just out of the brush. He got just to like mid-mass out of the brush and started backing up. I let the shot go. He dropped in 20 yards. It was a dream come true. That was the first deer that was shot on during that hunting trip. So after that, I'm loosey-goosey. Everyone's hunting. I'm happy. My buck's hanging.
Yeah, walking with your chest puffed out, just like, yep. Exactly. Take a look, boys.
Yeah. And so, after that, my best friend was on that trip as well. And so after that, I'm letting everybody pick their hunting spots first. I'm like, I don't care. My buck's hanging. And so my father-in-law, being the gentleman that he is, he always lets us pick our spots first. He's like, you guys are youth. I want you to go out and, get some deer. And so me and my buddy, we pick our spots, and he just takes the last spot. He's like, I'll go here. I want to watch it. It's beautiful there. Well, I'm sitting, I'd say I'd probably sitting 700 yards away from my father-in-law for this sit. And I hear a shot ring out, and I know my father-in-law. I know he's not shooting unless it's a whopper.
Yeah. Imagine this. You're deep in the wilderness. The sun is rising, casting golden light over rugged terrain. Your heart races as you navigate through the backcountry, knowing the perfect shot could come at any moment. This is where memories are made and stories are born. Ultralight rifles are often seen as Mountain West guns, but the Ridgeline FFT from Christensen Arms breaks that mold. This stellar, lightweight rifle is your perfect companion, whether you're in the backcountry or box blind, ensuring you never have to switch between your builds. With its aero-grade carbon fiber barrel and stock, the Ridgeline FFT is incredibly lightweight, yet powerful. Thanks to its innovative side baffle brake, it reduces recoil even on a 5-pound gun shooting magnum calibers. It's like black magic. As a sub-MOA tack driver made in America, the Ridgeline FFT is for those who seek the thrill of the hunt and the joy of storytelling. Picture yourself returning to camp, Ridgeline FFT in hand, ready to share the day's adventures. Head to your local shop, pick one up. You've got to feel this rifle to believe it. Let the Ridgeline FFT be part of your hunting stories and the legacy you pass down.
So I hear the shot ring out. I immediately text him, please tell me that was crab claw, which is what we named that buck. And he doesn't answer me. I'm like, are you okay? Please tell me that was crab claw. So eventually he sends me a text and he says, found him, and just sends me a picture. And just sends me a picture of the biggest rack I've ever seen. I mean,
that's awesome.
My hunt at that point is over. I do not care. So I jump out of the tree and I'm running to where he is. Get there, help him drag it out. But in that process of helping him pull that deer out, which was just a mammoth, we get a text from my buddy, and he goes, that was me. We look at our phones like, what is he talking about? I'm like, what? Send him a text. He had shot a nice buck too.
No shit.
Not too far away, but far enough to where in all that rustle of us pulling him out, we didn't hear the shot.
Yeah.
So my poor buddy, we didn't see the text. We're pulling that deer out. He dragged that poor deer out by himself. because no one heard him shoot. No one was checking their phones. And so we were all cracking up because, during that trip, you hear a shot. Was that you? Was that you? Was that
Yeah.
you? The one time he shoots, no one texts. No one hears the shot. No one checks it on. He's out there by himself dragging this deer back. I felt so bad for him.
That's
That was
funny,
great.
man. That's
All three of us
awesome. Were you the only 3 hunters there?
Yeah.
Or were there more guys? Okay. And then a couple quick questions. Your father-in-law, was he a hunter previously, or did he kind of jump in with it when you jumped into it?
No, he's been hunting his whole life. So,
Okay.
now that as we've gotten closer, he's become pretty much my hunting mentor. I text him, ask questions. He's my pool of knowledge when it comes to stuff for hunting related, especially whitetail.
Cool.
He actually took me on my first ever turkey hunt this past season.
Hell yeah, man, that's cool. I imagined he had been hunting for a while. He's like, yeah, he'll only shoot a big deer, and I'm like, okay, he's been around a while, so that's cool. And then I gotta ask, stack rank. I know father-in-law had the biggest deer. Your deer's a very good deer. Was your buddy's bigger or smaller than yours?
Slightly smaller, just a tad bit.
I didn't know Alabama had such good deer. Is it that private land, or was that does he own some hunting property or lease it?
Yeah, so my father-in-law's family has a bit of it's actually timberland, but you hunt in it.
Cool. Very cool, man. All right. Well, that was a cool story. That's awesome that all 3 of you put one down like that. That doesn't happen that way often, man.
And it has not happened since. Since then we've gone 2 seasons without seeing a deer.
No way. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you took all the males. There's probably none left.
Well, they're on camera. Don't get me wrong. They are doing the countdown line in front of our cameras, but we can't seem to find them.
That's cool. That's cool, man. All right. Well, what other stories you got, man?
I mean, like I said, I'm a young hunter.
Yeah.
There's not many big stories. I mean, there's stories that are big to me. I hold near and dear to my heart, but most people have probably be like, oh, been there, done that. I'll tell you one more.
Okay. Then I want to ask you some questions about your I want to say it's a tree stand, but it's not a tree stand. What is it called? What is it?
It's a tree climber. It's the Bandit Climber.
Okay, so I want to ask some questions about that after, but go ahead.
So this one, it's real short. It cracks me up. Actually, this will be 2 stories in one. So, I'm trying to do my part and, bring hunting into my family, into my bloodline. So I've been trying to get my little brother to come out and hunt with me.
Nice.
And so the first time I ever took him out, there was this big pine clear cut that had just been cut and then they replanted. So the pines were, I'd say, 2-3 feet tall across this big acreage out on public land. And so what we did is I went out there with him in the center of that thing because it kind of bowls upwards where you can look down the whole thing. We put a ground blind up and him and I just sat in a ground blind together. This was his first time ever hunting. And I knew that there was a very large coyote population in this area. I mean, very large. And so I was very eager to see how he would react once that sun tipped down and the coyotes just let it go. But we're sitting in the ground blind. And when I tell you this was the most coyotes I've ever heard, ever.
Yeah.
I mean, they really showed out for him. They welcomed him into the wilderness with a show. It was 360. It sounded like they were maybe 30 yards in the brush, just letting it go on us. And so I watched his face drop. It's his first time. He didn't have a weapon on him. He didn't have anything. It was only me. I just brought him along. And so I was like, how can I have a little bit more fun with this? After all, it is my little brother. I got to tease him a little bit. And so we went far into this place to get it. And so it was probably like a 45-minute walk back to the car.
Okay.
And I walk in full speed. And so on the walk back, I decided, you know what? I'm going to mess with him a little bit. I gave him my Leatherman, which has a knife about this big. And I put it in front of me. And I said, hold this out for when the coyotes jump at you. If you need to, you can stab them. This poor kid he
How
is
old was he at the time of this trip?
I want to say 18.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this poor kid, he is walking with the tiniest little Leatherman knife you've ever
Yeah.
seen, and I'm in front of me, and I'm biting my lip not to laugh. He is holding it out in front of him like this. Every step,
Fully extended.
yeah, every noise, every slight noise, a squirrel, a bird, he'd shoot that knife towards it. He was jumping at everything, and I was just behind him trying not to crack up. Eventually, I told him that, you pretty much never will get a coyote jumping at you, and he was pretty upset with me.
You know what? You probably, despite telling him that like a coyote could attack at any moment, he probably felt a little bit better having some way of defending himself. Probably felt a little bit more confident back there just because of that, even though you were just laughing at him from behind.
Yeah.
But that's a good big brother thing to do. Like, that's important, right?
Yeah.
Teaches him some lesson.
Well, then, so in the past year, I've been chased down by hogs 3 times in the woods.
Yeah, I've had that happen in Texas. Sucks.
I hate hogs.
Yeah.
I hate them. I respect all animals. I hate hogs.
Yeah.
But I've been chased down 3 times by them. Every single time it was close. They were right up on me. And so I tell them those stories because it's good for them to hear, and it's kind of like hey, your big brother's out there fighting off hogs. It's a little chest puffer story for him. And so I took him out another time and I set him up. He's a loud hunter. Man, he's so loud. So I try to put him a little bit away from me.
Yeah.
I set him probably 200 yards away from me, down the same trail, so it was close by. And I put him up in a tree, used the Bandit Climber, and then I kept on going to where I had some nice deer on camera, and saw nothing that night. But I get a text from him right as it's gray light. It's almost impossible to see. And he goes, "There's something coming up on me." And I was like, "Oh, awesome. I'm hoping he can see a deer." I'm like, "Hold still. It's probably a deer." And I saw a game trail and I set him up there. So I knew, I was like, if something walks by, they're going to walk by right here.
Yeah.
And so I don't hear anything. And a few minutes goes by and he was like, the 2 of the biggest hogs I've ever seen just walked right underneath me. And so I was like, "Oh, why didn't you text me?" And he was like, "I was Googling if hogs could jump or climb trees." And so
that's awesome.
So I rotate on the tree to where I can look back where he is, and I see these just 2. They're big hogs. I gotta get them. They were big. And they're walking right towards me, and it was gray light. It was getting dark, so I'd already started climbing down the tree. At this point, I am maybe like 2 feet off the ground, and so I'm just basically pinata hanging there off this tree. And so I'm like, crap, my bow is, we were bow hunting. My bow was already on the ground. I had my Glock on my hip. And I was like, I'm just going to hold still and hope these hogs, I'd already been chased by hogs 3 times. Like, I hope these hogs don't, smell me, come at me. Sure enough, they smell me, they come at me. You hear, they're squealing, they beeline for me. So I just pull out my Glock and let a shot off to scare them. And that scared the snot out of my brother who was up in the tree. And so they run off. I give it a few seconds. I don't hear him anymore. I get down. I pack my bag. I walk to where he is. He has not moved an inch. If anything, he's higher up the tree.
He's doubled his height.
I was like, "You can come down now." He was like, I was waiting for you because I was not getting down if those hogs were on the ground. So
he's
my poor brother.
His like Google research was inconclusive. He's like, "I don't know if they can climb or not. I just got to stay up here."
Yeah. Yeah. And so he says he wants to, actually go hunting this year, maybe get a bow, maybe get a rifle. So these traumatic experiences haven't scared him away from hunting. So I'm hoping we can get him out there and get him a deer this year.
That's awesome, man. So you put him 200 yards away from you without a weapon up a tree.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. He must be loud. Okay.
I'm telling you, he's loud.
Yeah. Dude, that's funny. I like that he Googled whether or not pigs can climb a tree.
I was dying laughing.
Oh my God. I don't even know what to think. But that, whatever. You're scared. You do dumb things. So
yeah.
That's a great story. That's the kind of shit I love to hear. Doesn't necessarily need to be like this epic trip, right? Just like a little anecdote about a dumb hunting buddy or brother or whoever it is doing something silly in the woods is so great. But all right, Jake, why don't you tell us a little bit about rut mini mounts and Bandit Climbers? Is that what it is? Sorry if I'm getting this wrong, man. But
No worries. The company's called Raccoon Rigs, and yeah, it's
Raccoon Rigs. Okay,
it's called the Bandit Climber.
Got it. Oh, so close. Okay.
So for Rut's mini mounts, that one's really it's really simple. Like I said, I wanted to find a way for people to be able to have their hunting memories close, easy, be able to share them. And so what we do with Rut's mini mounts is we make replica mini mounts of people's trophies. So, and we can turn, so like if someone has a Euro, we can turn their Euro into a shoulder mount, a full body mount. We can do racks that hang from your rear view mirror.
Cool.
We do them in single colors like gold or black, or most of the time we paint them to be replicas to look like the deer, get all the markings and stuff. And so that's been an absolute blast. We've done countless, and when I say we, I mean like me and my dog.
Rut.
Yeah, we've countless species all over the world. It really is done so well, and I'm so honored because, kind of like you with this podcast, you get to hear hunting stories. But with me and the mini mounts, every single animal that comes in, I get to hear the story about the animal because everyone's so happy to share.
Right.
But then I'm modeling these animals to be exact. So I'm really getting in and seeing the details of these animals. I'm seeing, scars on their body from fights or
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I'm seeing it in such close detail. So it's actually, I have to stop myself from getting attached to these animals because I spend so much time with them. And I ship them away to their rightful owner. And I'm sad to see them go sometimes. So it's really awesome. I love every single one. I love painting them. And so and they're perfect. They're mini mounts. So we range from 5 inches to 9 inches.
Okay.
We shoulder mounts, Euro mounts, full body mounts. And it's awesome. And
that's cool, man.
I shouldn't say wildly successful. It's wildly successful for me. More than one person doing it. That's successful.
Yeah.
I just have an absolute blast. I love it.
Okay. What does someone need, like beyond, reaching out to you, but like, let's say they sign up, like, yeah, I'd like one. What do they send you to like get this done?
Yeah. So it's all on our website. Actually, all we need is a 360 video of the animal that you want done. Just set it up, get your phone out, record a video walking around it. And that's all I need. And then from that, I model it, we process it out, and then every single one's hand painted.
Cool. Very cool, man. All right. And then the bandit stuff, the raccoon stuff.
Yeah. Which is the reason for that.
Yeah. And the shirt. I see the shirt too. It's good.
Oh, yeah. I have like 18,000 of these shirts, so I don't even realize I'm wearing them half the time. So like I said, I'm a public land hunter. I'm going in deep. I'm scouting hard, and when I first started hunting, I hated sticks and climbers. I felt so heavy. I felt like a turtle walking around, honestly, with all that stuff on my back, and it felt loud. It just didn't seem right.
Yeah.
And so, I was trying to be a ghost in the woods. I was trying to respect nature as much as possible. I wanted it to be like I was never there at all.
Yeah.
And so, in my disdain for the sticks and the climbers, I started thinking of ways that I could get up and down trees easier. And I really wanted to be a minimalist hunter. Like, I don't want to carry a bunch of stuff out there with me. I want the necessities and the necessities alone.
Okay.
And so I developed the Bandit Climber V1, which I was making out of my garage. Every single one was hand built by me in my garage. And so basically it's a compact climbing system to where you have the platform and you've got an adjustable rope that cinches to the tree. And so when you stand on the platform, and you've got your saddle on, when you raise your feet, the platform raises up and you tighten it. And when you stand back up, you're 2 feet higher, 2 to 3 feet higher, depending on the length of your legs.
Yeah.
And so I was able to use that, and I started posting them online, started selling them. They did extremely well. I mean, it blew me away the amount of people who loved them. And said pretty much everybody who's ever used it said they'll never go back to what they were using before because it's lighter, it's faster, it's quieter, it's easier to use. And so, like anything online, you post something new in the hunting industry, you get a little bit of hate.
Yeah.
And so I started doing these videos where I was addressing people's number one, like, oh, this is that. They're like, oh, that looks so slow. I got up 26 feet in a tree in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, ready to hunt.
Yeah.
That's lightning fast. And then I did a sound test. And so what I did is I recorded a video, undoctored audio of me climbing up a tree with the Bandit Climber. And I did a giveaway on Ruts Mini Mouse. And I said, whoever can tell me what is going on in this video, I'll give you free stuff. 6,000 people replied, commented, and stuff. Not one person guessed that it was me with full gear, full backpack, rifle, climbing a tree. We got things like it was a deer eating persimmons or a deer eating.
Of course it is.
Yeah, and so that was great marketing for me.
Yeah.
And so we did a pitch black test where I went into the woods, used the Bandit Climber, and my buddy filmed me on thermal, pitch black, going up and down a tree. I couldn't see the tree in front of me. The Bandit Climber was perfect.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of stuff like that, and I think that kind of sealed the deal. People really started loving them, started buying them, and now we've got a bunch of people who just swear by the Bandit Climber. And so, like I said, everything was built out of my garage.
That's awesome.
That's not sustainable, obviously. I mean,
I was going to ask.
I was working nonstop. I was sleeping about an hour a night, and that is not a joke. I mean, I was on the brink of death. My wife was concerned for me. She made me go to the doctor because I was starting to have some real physical problems from working nonstop. And so now we've got manufacturing being done, and the Bandit Climber version 2 is just so sleek, so beautiful. It's even lighter. It's awesome. And so that's what we're launching here soon. And I mean, we probably get, I want to say 5-10 emails a day. When's the Bandit Climber coming back out? When's the Bandit Climber?
That's awesome, man. Congrats. That's super cool. How much does V2 weigh? If you don't mind me asking here.
3 pounds pretty much on the dot.
Okay. That's crazy. And are there any other, beyond the manufacturing, switching from your garage to a formal facility, what are some of the other, upgrades of V1 to V2?
So the V1 was steel with adhesive grips stuck on it and end caps that were carbon fiber with thick rope. I chose this rope intentionally because I did sound tests, and the thicker rope muffled the metal sound. So it was dead quiet. The V2, it's really strong aluminum that we're then heat treating, so it's even stronger.
Okay.
It's got built-in grip to where, you don't have the grip tape pretty much anymore. It looks sleeker. It's flatter and wider. So the V1 was a steel, half-inch pipe that was then cut with the end caps and the rope. This one is 3 inches wide, so you've got a lot of real estate to keep your feet on, and it's very comfortable to stand on. And then it's got thinner ropes because there's no more need to muffle that steel sound.
Yeah.
So it's got thinner ropes, which makes it even more compact. I tested the V3. I was actually able to stick it in my back pocket. I mean, it's 22 inches long, so it's not fitting in your pocket. but you can stick it in your back pocket and walk.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. So let me ask a couple questions. Because I've never used a climber. I've never used a tree stand, just not the Western hunting. It's just not common. People, I think, are starting to do it more. But when you're picking a tree, if the tree has branches coming off, you can't use it, right? You need basically a clean. I don't know. I'm gonna have to say it, but a clean shaft up with no branches poking out, right?
So that's definitely easier. When I'm picking trees, my criteria is I want to be able to hug it and touch hands, and I always try to pick trees that have at least not a ton of branches. If there's 1 or 2 branches, I'll pick it. But that was one of the biggest concerns we got too with the Bandit Climber. I was like, oh, what about branches? You can do it, and it is still fast, but all you got to do is carry an extra tether with you for your saddle, and you just unlatch and go up around the branches. But by all means, if you're using the Bandit Climber, just pick a tree with not a ton of branches. It's just going to save you time and a headache.
Okay. Cool, man. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm going to check out some of the videos. And I just followed the Bandit Climber and all you guys on Instagram. I've been following Ruts Mini Mounts forever, but I'm going to start checking that stuff out because it's something I'm very interested in. And I have a buddy's inviting me to do some whitetail hunting in Kansas, so I was thinking maybe I'd sneak up a tree for that. So.
Oh, dude. Yeah, well, if you do, let me know. If you decide that you want to try out saddle hunting, let me know. I will send you a Bandit Climber because if you're gonna get into it, you might as well get into it with the easiest and the best. You know?
Right. Especially lightweight. Maybe I'll even take it with me elk hunting here in Colorado. That'd be pretty cool.
We had he sent in a video. He used the Bandit Climber for elk hunting, and I mean, could you imagine me? A self-taught hunter who hunts whitetail on public land in the Southeast, seeing my product being used to hunt elk out west. I had to change my pants afterwards. It was ridiculous. It was
Did he get one? Did he get one, or was he just kind of showing that he was trying that method?
If he would have got one, I hope he would have sent it to me, but he never followed up. So
that's cool, man. That's super cool. And you got to get out west, man. There's nothing. It's different. They're very different styles. They're both super exciting. I've done the sitting in a blind. Obviously not the tree stands, but that's hard on your heart, man. It's hard on your brain, and there's a lot of difficult aspects of it. But elk hunting is something totally different. You got to try it.
I want to so bad. It's on my bucket list. I feel like I got to pay my dues as a hunter first. Get a few more seasons in, a few more whitetail reps in, and then maybe one day I'll get out west. But that is a dream of mine.
Yeah, dude, pull the trigger. There's no time. The best way to learn is by getting out there and doing it. That's my opinion. So, all right, man.
Backpack a deer out or something, or an elk out. I'm your guy. I'll pay for my flight, and I'll suffer with you and hike it out.
There we go, man. There we go. Cool. Well, where can people find you? Share your socials, websites, whatever you want, and then we'll sail off into the sunset here together, buddy.
Yeah. So the website's raccoonrigs.com. That's got Raccoon Rigs and Ruts Mini Mounts under the same umbrella. And on there, you'll find all the social media. You'll find everything there. So the website is your go-to to get all.
Perfect, man. And I will put a link to it in the show notes. Jake, this was fun, man. I love talking to new hunters, especially ones that didn't kill their wife. This was an entertaining episode. I appreciate you, man. Thanks again for reaching out and for being brave, sharing some stories with us.
Yeah, thank you. And hopefully this coming up season, I'll have even more stories for you.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. All right. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. That's it, folks. Another couple stories in the books. Again, I want to thank Jake for coming on the podcast and reaching out to me. I really do appreciate it. I've been a fan of his for a while, and I'm glad to hear that he is a fan of the podcast. So, guys, please check out Ruts Mini Mounts. Check out Raccoon Rigs. He's doing some really cool stuff. I'm definitely going to check him out because I don't have any experience in any kind of tree hunting, and it's something that I really want to get into, and I've just basically been waiting to make my own mini mount, and so I'm going to do all of those things. So check out the links below. I appreciate it. Give us a like, a follow, share us with one friend, and that's it, guys. Get out there and make some stories of your own.